as live can be. You'll hear some theme music playing, and then we'll go on. I actually, I don't have a band, but I do have my own theme music. So. And welcome everybody to the second New Year's edition of the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe. Joining us today is Franklin County Engineer Cornell Robertson. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a couple of your staff here as well. So if you want to go ahead and kind of introduce them before we get too much into this, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, Mayor Begney, thank you very much for this opportunity. It really means a lot to me to be part of your show. Again, my name is Cornell Robertson, County Engineer for everyone in Franklin County, and most certainly includes the city of Reynoldsburg. With us today, we also have Terry Pritchard. She is the Executive Assistant and she does a fine job. We also have James Jewell. He's Chief Deputy of Operations, and Dave McManus is our First Responder Liaison, part of our very strong team. Thank you.
As we were just talking about, it does take a team to do a lot of the things that we do. So I do appreciate you joining us today. Taking some time out of your busy schedule. Just want to go over one quick thing before we jump into some good questions for you. We are going to have a code enforcement town hall meeting. We're looking right now at early March. So we'll be talking about some of the things that our code enforcers are going to be looking for as we move forward into the spring when the weather seems to break. I know it's the middle of January and we're not expecting anything, other than some snow in the not too distant future. But again, it's always good to kind of keep that in mind. In the meantime, Cornell, I just, a couple of big things that have come up since we last saw each other. I think we were talking about it earlier. One of the last things that we were able to do in public, I think, is you and I were walking up and down Wagner Road at one point about a year ago.
Yes.
The sun was shining. There were no masks to be seen anywhere. We had all heard of COVID, but we didn't know anything about it. And, the Arnold was still going on, getting ready to go on in a couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden the world's kind of changed a little bit. So what have you been able to do to kind of bring your little joy in a time where obviously things are just not the same as they used to be?
Yeah, well, certainly COVID-19 impacted us all, but there are some silver linings, some joy that I have at least experienced in this whole situation. And one in particular is a reconfirmation of just how strong our team is here at the county engineer's office. Our folks are extremely passionate. And when COVID first struck, we were worried, as many agencies would be, about our revenue streams. And so we asked teammates to provide ideas of ways that we could save money. And so many good options were presented. And on top of that, our team was able to implement the safety requirements and recommendations from public health. And we were able to still meet all of our critically essential roles and responsibilities in regards to infrastructure. Then I'd say another joy from that situation is the fact that we saw that many things were able to be improved. Many times in the government or just life in general, we get stuck in the ways of doing things the same way. And we think, well, that's the way it has to be done. That's the way we've always done it. But in this whole COVID business, we found ways of approving things without wetting signatures, with being able to have sunshine law meetings virtually and be able to vote on important matters. And so I think those are two examples of silver linings, two examples of joys that I have noticed in this whole mess.
Yeah, I think that's what we've tried to do a lot in this building is, take some of the, shall we say, unexpected time to have to kind of go through and reevaluate. But like you said, things that had always been done that way before, and kind of streamlining the process and making some improvements. So it's, I got to look at the bright side of life on that one.
Right.
As far as, I know a lot of our viewers out there, they may have seen your name, they may know a little bit, but what exactly does a county engineer do in general? What are kind of some of the things that you are responsible for and your office is responsible for?
Great question. I appreciate that question because I think there are many folks who may not know so much about the engineer's office. And so I'd start out by saying that the county engineer is an elected office with requirements that the individual be licensed in the state of Ohio as professional engineer and professional surveyor. The term is for 4 years, and I was reelected this past November and appreciate the opportunity to continue serving our constituents. All registered voters get to vote for their county engineer, not only those who live in the rural parts of the county, but also those who live in the city of Reynoldsburg, city of Columbus, all municipalities, villages, and townships. The mission of the Franklin County Engineer's Office is to provide for safe and efficient movement of people and goods from place to place by designing, building, and maintaining Franklin County's 800 lane miles of roads, 359 bridges, and infrastructure for multiple modes of transportation. We are an agency of action, innovation, and collaboration. I like to say we're very similar to ODOT. Folks are familiar with ODOT and the large road and bridge projects that they take on, and snow and ice removal, but we have all those responsibilities as well, but on a much smaller and local government county level. So whereas ODOT may be in charge of I-270 and I-70, our responsibilities are on the smaller roadways.
And it's always, especially with the weather, you never know what's going to happen. I know when I was a teacher, I was always in favor of you guys taking your time and not clearing the roads off any faster than you had to, mostly for the benefit of the snow day and, for the kids. Now, different position, clear those things off as quick as you can because of the safety factor. But, a little bias there in the past in my mind.
We had crews out this morning, in fact, with the frosting and icing of bridges on overpasses and so forth. So, we need to keep an eye on that. And our team is very, very efficient, very responsive to such matters in these particular times. So, thank you.
We appreciate that because you have a new appreciation for people that are out in the middle of the night or the early morning, and they're clearing and salting and everything else. It's just it makes life a lot easier for everybody and obviously much safer, while at the same time they're the ones out in the big trucks taking care of that business. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned collaboration. I'm glad you brought that one up because obviously, we have a number of bridges here in Reynoldsburg and we have some other things that we've talked about. What are some of the big highlights that you have, things that we've worked together on from the engineer's office in the city of Reynoldsburg?
Yeah, I think there's many examples that go back several years. I know that we had a project that we collaborated on together for Rose Hill Road. We've done work together at the intersection of Wagner and Rodebaugh. There are back-to-back 90-degree curves on Rodebaugh west of Wagner, and that's a township road. There was still involvement from City of Reynoldsburg and the county engineer's office. And then more recently in 2018, we replaced the bridge deck along Livingston over Black Lake Creek. And again, that was a bridge deck replacement, concrete deck. We were able to utilize the existing steel beams, but repainted them. We replaced the abutments, and that was a close collaboration that included the Reynoldsburg Police Department, the Reynoldsburg School Transportation, and also Truro Township Fire Department in regards to maintaining traffic and making sure all of our constituents were aware. So I think that was a recent successful project. Here more recently in 2019, there was guardrail that needed to be replaced on Graham Road, just north of Slate Ridge Boulevard. And then the following year, there was an opportunity to resurface Graham Road from Palmer south to 256, and that included that same bridge that had guardrail replacement the year before. And then I also know about Palmer Road east of Graham. That was a project in, I believe, 2019, where City of Reynoldsburg was the administrator of that project, but utilized about $450,000 of motor vehicle registration fees that the county engineer's office kind of tracks and monitors and administers. So those are some projects that quickly come to mind that we've worked on together, but we'll
I'm going to show a
certainly be
couple
happy
of
to continue.
Oh yeah, Joe, we're going to get to those ones where we're going to work together. Let me show everybody a couple of pictures of what you're talking about. This is, again, what you were referring to, the Wagner Road area and Graham Road, the bridge replacement and the guardrail replacement right there. So that would be one example of it. And I thought I had the other pictures queued up, but I
Mayor,
don't.
that's a photo of looking north along the east side of Graham Road. And again, we're just north of Slate Ridge Boulevard, and you can see the pavement edge there. The east pavement edge is rather deteriorated, and the guardrail needed to be replaced.
Yeah, so you can see some of that here. And then obviously now, if you were to drive it today, much smoother, much cleaner, much safer all the way across.
New guardrail, yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the good things that about this is, just this ability to kind of collaborate. And I know one of the things that the city of Reynoldsburg is going to be focusing on this year is doing some work with what we would like to refer to as sidewalks to nowhere. These are where you have sidewalks that go off, and then for whatever reason or not, they just stop. And one of the areas that we're looking at, again, is right there, right where some of that work had been done. We're looking to put in some sidewalk work connecting from Palmer Road and then on the Livingston House side all the way down until you get to that the five-way intersection. So I know that's something that's there. So we'll be working together on that project with that for that pedestrian safety aspect on that side.
Yeah, we'd be happy to work with you on that. We have a complete streets coordinator at our office, a new position, maybe a little over a year now. But some things that quickly come to mind would be that bridge of Graham Road just north of the five-way intersection. It would likely need to be widened or extended, or there's a chance that we could consider a separate crossing for pedestrians and bicyclists. So options definitely for consideration.
Yeah. And like I said, that's one of the good things to work together for the benefit of all. We actually had a resident who has limited mobility and had been trying to get to that five-way intersection to access some of the retail and shopping on that. But without a sidewalk there, there's a safety hazard. So I know we're going to try and work hard on that one. And the other one actually is how I think you and I first met in person for the first time is what we're hoping to begin in a couple of years is that big Wagner Road project. That I think will be one of the biggest projects the city has seen in quite some time with the pedestrian walkway on one side, a sidewalk on the other, and things of that nature. So multi-use path. So I'm looking forward to that. And I know that's, like I said, that was in the days before COVID where we got to sit together and, soak up the sun and walk along that and see the different challenges for there. Do you remember any of some of the topography and how unique Wagner Road is to that particular area?
Oh yeah, definitely a unique stretch, very heavily traveled roadway. I would envision the route would benefit from a third lane to allow those who want to turn left to get out of the way of the through traffic. But certainly agree in regards to pedestrian facilities, sidewalks, shared use paths, may have ability to improve some of those vertical curves, improve sight, and make the route safer. And then turn lanes at some of the key intersections to, again, help alleviate congestion and make the route safer. I hear a lot of comments when I'm out in the community, and Wagner Road is one that I hear about often as needing some attention. And we'll certainly be happy to continue working with you, your staff. You have an excellent public service staff development director, and the folks that you use for city engineer do fine job. So we're happy to continue participation.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of work. And we know it's going to take it, but working with you and working with our local school districts and working with, it's a multi-jurisdictional issue. We've got to work with our representatives in Turo Township and then obviously with the county. It's a lot of things. We're also working with the developer. We're going to have MI Homes is going to be breaking ground here real soon to work on some of the infrastructure. And so working with them because it's to their benefit just as much as everybody else's to make sure that area works well. I love the lighting idea to kind of get some of that part lit. So, for safety purposes, but I like the connectivity. I know Columbus has got a big park program that they're starting up on the other side of Broad Street that this will be able to connect to and just extend those kind of abilities. So I'm looking forward to that. Now,
I
Go
think
ahead.
it would also be, just to quickly add, I think it would be a strong candidate for OPWC funding. We may work together and draw up an application and, submit that. Um, Probably with the stage that we're in right now, I think we will work a bit more on design this year and maybe try for an application in the fall of 2022, and then work on right-of-way acquisition if needed, utility relocations, and then see construction start in say the summer of 2024. So just to give folks an idea of the timeline and what it takes to bring a project of this size and magnitude together, and completing designs and so forth.
Yeah, it'll be one of those good ones that we'll be able to celebrate when when it starts, and most especially celebrate when it's completed.
Yes.
Now, as far as you mentioned you were just recently reelected and all of that. Many years from now, when you're looking down the road, what are you thinking is going to be your legacy? What would you like the legacy of your time in office as county engineer?
I think the most important thing for me is to draw from what I learned in my 29-year career here at the county engineer's office, and that is the legacy itself, the legacy of what the county engineer's office does in regards to service to our constituents, and also for the collaboration that we provide with other agencies, as I mentioned before, all cities, townships, villages. We play a very important role, I think, in our government. There are some who might think, well, there's too much government, there are too many layers of government. But to me, those are all important. And the role that the county engineer's office can play is unique in that we have the ability to work in all parts of the county, whereas a municipality is likely constrained to only be able to do work and make improvements within their corporate boundary. But we can collaborate with all agencies. We can collaborate with Reynoldsburg. We can collaborate with ODOT. We can collaborate with the individual townships. And so the legacy that I want to work on is to communicate that, to share our story, and then that will allow for the continuation of our legacy and the ability to simply carry forward what we're so passionate about.
Well said. I'm looking forward to continuing our relationship together. I'll ask, I'm pretty sure that I'm not sure if we have any questions. No questions. So you're off the hot seat. No questions from our Facebook Live crowd. Like I said, you're more than welcome to stay on as for the rest of the show, but I don't want to take any more time. I know you guys are busy out there, and I look forward to working with you in 2021 and beyond on some of these big projects.
Okay, Mayor, thank you very much. And if lastly, I could touch on something that's very important to our office, and that is the anti-racism and equity program. We have a new diversity and inclusion coordinator, Simone Burley, who's on board, and we are working very hard in this realm, not only in our own workforce, but also with our suppliers and subcontractors, the vendors that we work with, as well as our community outreach. And so we'll be looking to enhance that even further here in 2021.
Fabulous. That's great. I had not heard that. So congratulations on that. That's a much needed and beneficial program. So thank you very much. Thank you to your staff for sitting in and listening to us talk across the World Wide Web here. Appreciate it, and appreciate all that you do. I know that it's probably not always the easiest thing in the world working in government. So I appreciate all your efforts with everything.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, for those of you remaining on, we'll go ahead and continue on to a couple of different things. We do have some news on our Parks and Recs program. Basketball, we are finalizing everything with our basketball program, both boys and girls. We just have to make sure we lock down the specific buildings that everyone's going to be playing in. So you should be getting some information on that in the coming days, but we are doing that. And we also are going to be resuming our volleyball program. We had to shuffle a couple of things around to make sure that we've got all those things ready to go, but we will be moving on with our volleyball program. And if you haven't seen yet, we do, believe it or not, it's that time, spring sports, soccer, baseball, and softball are all up for registration. So keep that in mind as well. Those are up there. We are planning on doing it. We had a great fall soccer season. So we hope to continue that with the spring. And I'm an old baseball guy, so I'm looking forward to the baseball and softball teams out there as well. If you have any questions about that, please make sure you look at the city website. You can go ahead and look through under the Parks and Recreation and look for registration information. You can also check it out on Facebook under the Parks and Recs page and the city page. So keep those out there. Next Monday is Martin Luther King Day, and we will be having a Martin Luther King Day of service here in Reynoldsburg at City Hall. Council members Shanette Strickland and Meredith Lawson-Rowe and Council President Angie Jenkins and others will be here between 12 and 2 p.m. passing out personal protective equipment, including masks and things of that nature. So please, if you have any additional need of those things, please let me know and come on out here and pick a couple of those things up. Also wanted to kind of touch base. We are going to be meeting with Franklin County Department of Health, Joe Mazzola here in about 2 weeks. And we're going to talk a little bit about COVID and some of the vaccination processes. We really don't have a lot of access here at City Hall. We're like a lot of us waiting for the state and other agencies to kind of continue to push through to make sure everybody's there. But we are advocating to have sites in local municipalities to help with vaccinations for those who want them. But again, that's something that Joe will be able to come and talk with us about. He's been on the show before, and we're happy to have him again in a couple of weeks. Next week, it looks like Reynoldsburg City Schools is going to be back in school in hybrid mode. So while you're out there traveling, please keep in mind the following things. Police are going to be in the area, kind of making sure that everybody's following all the good traffic laws. You're not passing buses. If you're on Taylor Road or Rose Hill or any number of other areas, that center line is not a passing lane, everybody. You have to wait until the buses go through and all of that. I know we're in a rush. So I'm just giving you a heads up. The police are going to be out there and they're going to be looking for you. So make sure you pay attention to all those rules and keep everybody safe. I do have a good water department hint for today. Leaks. It's always a good thing to know whether or not you have a leak somewhere in your house. So what you need to do to make sure, and it's not going to be an easy thing, but what you need to do is before you go to bed, go to your water meter and write down the number that's there. And then overnight, don't use any water. Make sure no one else in your house uses any water. And the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you go down and check that water meter again, and then see if the numbers match. If they match, no leak. If there's a difference, that means somewhere in that house is a leak, and that'll let you know that you need to look on to other things. Now, Reynoldsburg is in the process of doing what we call radio transmitters, and we're hoping to have basically where we can ping through a wireless network to find out where everybody's water meter is. So the idea would be that if every day for 10 days, 12 days, you're at, let's say, and I'm making numbers up, let's just say 1,000 gallons. And then all of a sudden on that 15th day, for whatever reason, your water consumption goes up to 10,000. That would alert the city that there's a potential leak in your area and a very severe one. And so either your basement has flooded, then you may not know about it, but that might be something that would be able to contact with you as well. And that will also help in the process if you would like to go to month billing, because it would be easier to find out exactly when those, what your water consumption is significantly. So kind of keep an idea on those things. Keep your eyes out for that. Hopefully we'll be able to get that program completely in motion by the end of this year. Any questions so far?
Nope.
All right, good. We do have our community commission meeting tonight at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about a number of different things for our different commissions. I know the Arts and Beautification is going to be talking a little bit about potential litter pickup programs. I know our Welcoming and Diversity is going to be looking at some potential events coming up in the spring, multicultural events, as well as continuing our discussion about what we in the city can do to kind of let people know what resources are available for them. We are going to be getting a new website. So for those of you that are not fans of our current website, we are going to get a new one. We are in the early stages of getting that stuff together. So it's going to be a while before that's there, but this is the time that they can kind of let us know, hey, this is what we would like to see. This is what we would hope to see in the city to make it as user-friendly as possible. We're going to be starting some conversations about our military recognition group. We will have Memorial Day ceremonies at the Memorial Plaza on the corner of Main and Lancaster. So we're going to be talking about that. And then I'm sure what will be the most lively debate of all will be our transportation committee. We've had some good conversations about roundabouts. And when I say good conversations, I mean good information. Some of you will love information, some of you not so much. But the committee will be able to talk about that and what the potential for roundabouts in Reynoldsburg are, if there are potential roundabouts available, things like that. So those are all the things on tap for tonight. There is not going to be a 12 o'clock show next week. Next week, the inauguration is going to be going on. And so we figured that we would take the time off, as much as I'm sure a lot of you will be rather watching me. But in case you want to watch something else, the inauguration will be on. But we will be back on the 27th with, I believe, Joe Mazzola on the 27th, correct? Yeah, so Joe Mazzola will be on the 27th, so we'll get some information there. As always, development is going to be a new thing that we're going to be talking about. So I know we always get a lot of questions. Last week we talked about Hickman orthodontist, and we showed you a picture. The other question that we get is actually this one. This is our new Walgreens that is going to be coming in on the opposite side of where the existing Walgreens is on Main Street. You'll notice it's significantly smaller. It is a different business model than what had been used in the past. This is where they're going to have a general practitioner, and it's going to be more medical based, not necessarily, kind of like the snack shop or corner market store. So that's going to be a little bit different. The existing Walgreens is still up for sale. Hopefully we'll have a buyer for those in the not too distant future. But we are going to have a lot of big news this month, next month and a half or so. We've got a lot of things in motion that we're trying to work on. But if you want to know what's going to happen with development, whether it be commercial, whether it's residential, no matter what it is, this is where you're going to find it. You will hear it here first. It's going to be something that we'll announce on Wednesdays whenever we have something that we need to discuss. So you'll be able to watch here and talk about it and find out, hey, what is actually going on? So that's something that we're going to do differently this year. We also are going to have our State of the City. My second State of the City address will be on February 25th at 7 p.m. I wish it could be live, but I'm not betting that that's going to happen. So we will probably do something very similar to what we're doing now, except I'll have prettier pictures. We'll probably do it from council chambers, and everybody will be able to watch and get an update of where we were for last year and what happened in 2020. But more importantly, where we're moving forward to in 2021. Like I said, we have a lot of big things coming up, a lot of exciting things that I cannot wait to announce. I wish I could say so now, but I've got to be quiet. People are already kicking me under the table, so I'll just stop there. With that, any other questions while we're waiting?
We did have a comment. Wants to know, is there going to be a residence website development committee?
A residence website development committee. We hadn't actually talked about that, but I think we could probably work with some of the existing committees. And again, if you have a suggestion of what we can do on the website to make it better, please let us know. A lot of things that we've done even over the last couple of days is we've looked at a number of websites from surrounding communities. And what we want to do is find out what is the most desired thing for people to do. Is it getting a permit for a fence? Is it paying a water bill? Is it getting in contact with city officials? Any number of those things. So if you have a suggestion about, hey, I saw this and this is what we need, please let us know. We'll go ahead and be able to work on that.
That's it for right now.
All right. With that, we will go ahead and close in on this wonderful show. Again, I'd like to thank Cornell Robertson for being here from the Franklin County Engineers Office. I look forward to working with them on our sidewalk program, as well as eventually what is going to be our amazing Wagner Road plan. That's going to be a fabulous addition to the city. It's going to improve safety for everybody, help alleviate some of those traffic issues as well. But again, everybody else out there, especially now more than ever, let us stay safe. Let us stay very respectful of everybody. And most assuredly, please put away your shopping carts. I know it's cold, but it's not that hard to put them away. So everybody else have a great day out there. We'll see you in 2 weeks.